Welcome back to the Step Brothers. I'm Wesley Clark here with Andrew Hyden. Game week for both Ohio State and Michigan. It's been several weeks without action for both of us, but no lack of football as we've had a bunch of bowl games. We've had the first round of the college football playoff, and of course, NFL action that's heating up one more week in the NFL before the playoffs. But we like seeing our teams play and win. Michigan playing Texas and Ohio State playing Miami in the second round of the playoffs. But we'll start off with Michigan playing in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so Michigan playing Texas in the Citrus Bowl. I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern on New Year's Eve. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't know if you really know what to expect from either team. One, with the coaching change that has happened at Michigan, and two, with the amount of opt-outs that Texas has. They have a bunch of opt-outs in key positions and some key guys going to the draft. So first of all, I want to just get your thoughts on the new hire, because it hasn't been an eventful few weeks in terms of football, but I've been, in terms of being a Michigan fan, there's been plenty to keep up with. Obviously, Kyle Whittingham just named the next coach of the Michigan football program. What are your kind of early thoughts on that? I know he's very close with Urban Meyer being his DC back at Utah, but
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk from Urban Meyer, a lot of respect from Urban to Kyle Whittingham. I think this is a good hire given the situation that Michigan was in with DeBoer and Dillingham going back to their respected schools. But the options remaining for Michigan, I think that this was great. I mean, what he's able to do at Utah, what he did at Utah, with the lack of resources compared to what Michigan and Ohio State have. This is great. This is great for Michigan. Like Dillingham said, like it's almost like it's a gold mine for Michigan with the resources they have and the money that they can spend. So this is great. I mean, he's going to have the resources to compete and get them back in the playoff. So from A to F, I'd probably give this an A minus, higher for
that's what I gave it
the
to.
Michigan program.
Yeah, I said that. I gave that exact same grade a few days ago on the channel when I recorded kind of an instant reaction. But yeah, I agree. I think it allows you to have some stability, which I think is very necessary, right? Like after the things that have gone on in the Michigan program for the past few years, like you need someone that can right the ship and hopefully win you a lot of football games. Obviously, he's an experienced head coach. Like he fits that Michigan culture of, tough physical football, something that kind of went down the drain these last few years or last couple years under Sharon Moore. So I'm excited. I don't want to spend too much time on that because we'll have all offseason talk about his hires and roster retention and things like that. But I will mention that it was just officially announced earlier today, but Tony Alford, running backs coach, who was previously the running backs coach at Ohio State, is going to be retained. So that was a huge priority for all Michigan fans. He's done a great job recruiting and developing a running back. So
he's a very solid running backs coach. And I knew I saw the record for Kyle Whittingham, 177-88. So that's a solid record when you're at Utah.
Yeah, especially a place like Utah. And they haven't been the whole time he's been there, they haven't been a Power 4 school. I mean, they were in the Mountain West and then kind of had to transition to the Pac-12. They had those weird years where like they had Cam Rising hurt all the time, and so they were like trying out different quarterbacks, and that was like a few down years there. But
and I've had one experience with him. It was 2021, the Rose Bowl between Utah and Ohio State, where
that was a wild game.
Jackson Smith-Njigba broke the all-time. It might have been the receiving record for a college football game, definitely in the Rose Bowl. But good hire.
Yeah. So, and I will say, Tony Alford is one that's certain to be retained now, but Kyle Whittingham said in his opening press conference, like he's going to bring 7 to 8 of his own guys, and there's going to be about 2 or 3 left from the current staff. So there goes one already. Going to be interesting to see where he goes with those other 1 or 2. So, all right, let's get into the Citrus Bowl real quick, though, before we move into the bigger games of this slate. So, like I said, kind of don't know exactly what you're going to see. On the Texas side, a ton of opt-outs, notably running backs, especially is what I noticed. C.J. Baxter, Contravon Wisner, Jarrett Gibson are all in the transfer portal. So this is a team that already struggled to run the ball. Now I have no idea what that looks like, especially, Michigan is going to be without edge Derek Moore and Jayshon Barham, on the defensive line, but all season long they've been a good team against the run. So that should be an advantage for Michigan there. Other than that, some names going to the NFL draft like Michael Taft and Anthony Hill, Ethan Burke, Malik Muhammad. And on top of that, too, I don't know who's calling plays for the Texas defense, but I know they just hired Will Muschamp. And I assume their old coordinator is not, who just got fired, is not calling the plays in this game.
Yeah, I'd assume it'd be the assistant defensive coordinator, just the next guy up in that situation.
So in terms of that, I would say it's kind of a hard game to predict in that way. Also, Chip Lindsay, the Michigan's offensive coordinator, I don't know if you knew this or not, but he just took the offensive coordinator job at Missouri. So he's gone now. And we have the tight ends coach, Steve Casula, is going to be calling plays in this game. So I have no idea what you're going to see. I'm hoping they just really open the offense up for Bryce Underwood. It's become kind of publicly known that Sharon Morrow is just handcuffing the offense willingly in big games. I think because of his just ineptitude as a coach. Like I think he just turtled up and wanted to just play power football and just kind of hide in a shell. And obviously we saw what the offense looked like against Central Michigan and Nebraska when Biff Poggi was the coach, where Bryce Underwood was getting 6 carries a game, and they looked like they'd really opened it up for him. So I think you'll hopefully see more of that open style offense. But yeah, like I said, I think Texas is a team that obviously has been playing their best ball towards the end of the year, right? Coming off that win against Texas A&M. Michigan, I don't know if you can say the same. I mean, they have a lot of young guys, so you'd like to think that they're progressing in terms of experience, but the whole season was just kind of a up and down, maybe even a slight regression from earlier in the year. So I don't know. What would you predict if you had to pick?
Yeah, I mean, going off obviously the guys in the transfer portal from both sides. I mean, you showed me that video of the coach, the interim coach, talking about how 25 guys might be out, and then from the Texas side, I mean, what a hit on the running game for Texas. I think I am disappointed in CJ Baxter, not in himself, but more of what he was supposed to be.
This year, yeah.
And 5-star recruit. He had some injuries, but it's like, okay, now you're getting Wisner and Baxter. And when Ohio State played them, I'm like, this could be a major problem because, you lose so many guys on the defense. What does it look like? And they're just nowhere to be found, especially CJ. I mean, it's been surprising that how the lack of usage he's gotten. And and I trust the coaches at Texas that he's just not their guy. So that's why he's entering the transfer portal. On the Michigan side, it's a why not? Why would you not open up the playbook?
Yeah, and can I add just before you, because I'm glad you brought it up, but for the I don't know why Biff Poggi said there'd be 25 guys not playing, because there's only 3 opt-outs. It's Derek Moore and Jay Barham, like I said, and then offensive lineman Gio El-Hadi, who is a starter. So that everyone else has been practicing. It seems like they're going to play. So I'll mention that. That seems to be a positive on the Michigan side. It seems like they're going to have pretty much their full team.
Yeah, I'll ask you a question after I say this. So, like, the why not for Michigan? Why not let it fly type of mindset for Bryce Underwood and these young players? I mean, it's the last game of the season. You're playing a good Texas team. You want to see how competitive you want to be. Get your the second strings out there, the guys who are high recruits who didn't get a lot of snaps. I mean, this is the whole point of what I see. If you're not in the playoff, if you're in a game like this is the point of this game. Like that, I would want to see that. We watched the spring game, both of us, for both our respective teams.
Mm-hmm.
4 opportunities to see the guys, the young recruits, the new recruits, the guys who are now going to be starters. And this is the exact situation, but real game time, and at least some bragging rights in a way, because you can say, I beat Texas, or other way around. And of course, Michigan had lost to Texas last year, so you can kind of even that out.
Mm-hmm.
But for Biff, what you talked about 1 to 2 coaches being retained for Michigan. Is he one of them? Because from an outside perspective, I would think that he would be coming back.
I would have certainly thought that before he went on the Texas podcast and started, talking about how players might not play and how he kind of went off. Apparently, he went like completely rogue from what athletic director Ward Manuel wanted, how vocal he wanted him to be. I don't think that the fan base, and I don't think the administration of Michigan liked that act by him very much. So I would actually be surprised at this point. Like the players definitely love him, and I could see him being kept on in the same kind of associate head coach role, but I would not be surprised if he's just kind of pushed away.
I would be surprised if they didn't at least give him an offer. Like, this is a guy who's, I'm assuming, has been a part of the program for a while and had to take over in a very serious situation and bring back the players.
Yeah.
And, obviously your head coach gets arrested. So the situation that he was in was not exactly, it was calming. It was emotional for probably everybody, and he had a big shoes to fill in a way. So if I saw the words Michigan, let's go, Biff, then I would be surprised. If anything, I think he would step away for another opportunity.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of up in the air. And I don't know if because he's an associate head coach, like I don't know if he's really counting in Kyle Whittingham's, like, he said assistants. Like, I don't know if that's technically an assistant or not, like what that would count as. So something to monitor there. And we'll talk about the rest of the
last thing I'll say, I would think that it wouldn't be a Whittingham decision. I think it would be a program decision whether to retain him or not.
Yeah,
I don't think that it would be his final decision.
I agree. I don't think he doesn't know Biff enough to even really. But yeah, so we'll talk about in coming weeks like what their staff is going to play out like. I will mention Jay Hill, the BYU defensive coordinator, is trending to be the next Michigan defensive coordinator. Not official yet, but after the bowl game, something to definitely look for. But yeah, so to wrap up, I'll be more happy if they just kind of let loose on the offensive side and lose than try to win the game with defense and
Yeah, I mean, you got to show your team something.
Yeah,
I mean, that would just be preposterous in a way to not do that.
Yeah, so just have fun. Like, why not? Like you said. But yeah, let's move on to some of the first Ohio State versus Miami in the Cotton Bowl. What you got for me there?
Yeah, so obviously Ohio State's third time going to the Cotton Bowl, played Missouri a couple years ago, and then obviously Jack Sawyer's scoop and score against his old roommate Quinn Ewers last year to advance them to the national championship, where they eventually beat Notre Dame. But they're facing Miami, the 10th ranked team in the college football playoff. They just beat A&M 10-3 for their first CFP victory. What I'm seeing online, and I'm sure you're seeing the same thing, is the trench game for Miami and how it is similar to Ohio State's ability to stop the run, and also block for the run game.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I do think it's similar stylistically, but I think it is scaled down.
Yeah, I mean,
talent and in terms of, you know what I mean?
It would have to be. I mean, we've seen Miami. I've seen both Miami and Ohio State play live this year, and there is definitely a talent difference on all sides of the field, including especially the defensive line and including the linebackers. I mean, part of the reason why Downs hasn't made as many tackles as we expected this year is because Arvo, Reese, and Sonny Styles.
Yeah, they can't get to it. They can't get past the first level. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I am curious because I remember when Jim Knowles was the coordinator, there was a stat about at least Ohio State was giving up at least a 40-yard play a game, and I'm trying to remember. I can count it on one hand this year, the big plays that Ohio State's
haven't been many. Didn't give. I mean, they gave that. I don't know if that first run in the game from Jordan Marshall in the Michigan game was 40 yards.
It was 35.
30, yeah. So.
Yeah, and then there was a big play that Ohio actually had that just went their way. But that I mean, that's about it. I mean, Indiana, I think the longest play was 33 yards. So they've kept it in front of them. And that's a big edge that Ohio State has, and that's why they don't give up points. So when I look at these scores from CBS to Fox to ESPN, and it's like 27-23, I'm like, what are you guys watching?
Yeah.
Like when people are asking me what to bet for the Ohio State Indiana game, first off, I don't bet on Ohio State. I'm not going to edge my happiness. I'm going to lose with my team. But what I did say is this game is going to go the under. And I'm telling you, I probably sat looking at my hands for 10 minutes. Okay, Indiana 17-10, Ohio State, same thing. It's going to be everything I said was the under in that game.
Yeah.
So why all of a sudden, just like when they played Indiana last game, these scores they're just inflated. I don't understand what these so-called analysts are watching and why all of a sudden Ohio State's going to give up 3 touchdowns. I mean, they didn't do it against Indiana.
I don't see
that. Why did they do it against Miami? And Urban Meyer said if Ohio State scores 3 touchdowns, they win the game. And I actually still believe that. Whether that's 21-16, I do believe that if you score 3 touchdowns with this offense, unless something crazy happens, you're going to win the game, which makes me even more mad about what Brian Hartline did against Indiana, what his game plan was, because I have no doubt in my mind that he was the play caller. I know that Day was helping him, and I'm sure in some situations. But it's like a 2-system quarterback. It's not going to work. We saw Ohio State did it with JT Barrett and Cardale Jones, who won a national championship. It doesn't work. One guy's got to do it, and you got to trust it. So, and we talked about this last week. Ohio State's offense has to go do what they did last year against Tennessee, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, especially Oregon, and just throw the ball downfield. I mean, they scored immediately with a 50-yard touchdown against Jeremiah Smith with exactly 1 minute into the game. Then had Emeka Buka's touchdown. You had a long play again to Jeremiah Smith. Obviously, the run game was better with Travion and Quinshon, but the offenses are very similar from last year. I think the passing game can be better. The running game is obviously a step back, but there's be no reason why you don't throw out Chip Kelly's offense against Miami.
Right.
But so, Carson, I know you don't. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, well, I was just going to say, I think, kind of going off what you said, I think if Ohio State can get to 21 points in this game, I think they can win. I don't think Miami's offense is multiple enough to score enough on Ohio State. Now, the one thing I'll say is they do up front. Miami has some dogs on the defensive line. I don't think Ohio State's gonna be able to hand the ball to Lamar or to Bo Jackson and just say
Lamar Jackson. Technically,
basically the same thing. So I don't think they are very similar to Indiana up front, although more talented. And so that is, I think, also a key matchup. I think is the Ohio State offensive line. How do they hold up? I know Tegra Tishbola, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Had surgery or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, he is doubtful right now for Ohio State. He happened to be the one O lineman that people didn't really care to start. So that is the positive thing on that side. Obviously, last year they had to rearrange the entire O line because Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin got hurt during the regular season, and Luke Montgomery had to come in, who is now a starter and has started every single game and no problems for him. So we will see that whole line continues to be the issue. They gave it the most amount of sacks against Indiana. Ruben Bain, a first rounder and probably a top maybe 8 pick for Miami, will be a playmaker for Miami. And if he's not a playmaker, then they have no shot.
They did their job. Yeah.
Right.
So your offensive line has their work cut out for them. They're gonna have to neutralize that pass rush. That is the strength of this Miami team. And also, I think a way to neutralize that is just something I've been thinking about. I think this year Ohio State has looked its best in the passing game when it's been quick game, right? Quick out route, quick hitch. Let your players get the ball in space and just get extra yards. That kind of helps to neutralize that pass rush threat, right? And that's what Julian's saying is best at. I think is quick release, getting the ball.
Yeah, I mean that's why. I mean, the talk about him when he was a 5-star quarterback was his ball, his release of the football, and you don't see that as much when you're wasting 6 minutes on 7 plays,
right?
So that was a big issue we saw I go back to the Washington game. It was 14-6, and all of a sudden they start doing that, the more of a tempo, and then it was 24-6 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So if they don't do that, then here you are risking the rest of the season. And honestly, what feels like you didn't really accomplish anything at
Oh
the
yeah.
end of the day.
So yeah. Okay, I'll ask you that then. Is anything but a national championship a failure in your eyes for this season?
I think going to the national, I would go competing for a national championship would be a success.
Yeah, but then once you get there, if you lose, that's
Of
not
course,
good.
it's heartbreaking, but you can't be so naive and just unrealistic, because Ohio State is the only program that would have made the 12-team playoff every single year if they started in 2014. So I'm assuming that's going to continue happening. So at some point they will win the national championship again, and they just won it. So it released some of the pain from last year because of, I mean, I go back to the Georgia game. That was the worst football game I've ever experienced in my life. And
Which one?
Georgia 22.
Oh yeah. I guess, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was a rough day for me too, if you remember.
Yes. Yes, both the Big Ten. That was a tough day for the Big Ten. Uh, we can go Ohio State right now on most of the books. I usually look at DraftKings is 9.5. It was at
Yeah.
10 at one point. We can do the predictions later, but all-time series 2-2 against series tie. The last matchup was when Ohio State didn't even make a bowl game. Last time they didn't make a bowl game, when Luke Fickell was the interim, they played Miami
2011.
in Coral Gables and lost 24-6. Yes, so and obviously the famous matchup is back in 2003, the 2002 season, a couple of months before I was born. But Ohio State won in overtime. There's a controversial call with the pass interference, but then what happens is, like, on that drive, there was a holding call that didn't get called against Miami. So it's like Ohio State blames, okay, we wouldn't even be in that position because there was a holding already that didn't get called, and then Miami complains about the pass interference in the end zone, which ended up leading to Ohio State winning the game. Nonetheless, Miami goes back to that game and says that this is our revenge as the number 10 seed, upsetting number 2. Very possible. Obviously, the model has it at 70%. That Ohio State wins this game, only a little bit over 5. The majority of the scoring margin and the majority of those predictions, however that power index, however they predict it. So I mean, obviously means close game. Ohio State, Miami covers the spread but still loses. I mean, so what do you think? I mean, I'm curious to know. You know, you've seen both these teams play as
Yes.
of I. So what are your thoughts?
I'll say I think Miami's defense is maybe not as legit as Ohio State's, but I think they're legit. Like I think they're especially up front, like they have some guys. And so I think it might not be the easiest. Like I don't think Ohio State probably has a great day on first down, if I were to guess. But I think Ryan Day, like with this time to prepare, right? Obviously he said, give me the play sheet. Like let me just, like, please, Brian Hartline, get away from my play sheet. Like let me just take over. And I think what I kind of said, I know Ryan Day knows what he's doing in terms of, offensive play calling. Like I know he's going to utilize quick game. I know he probably, if he sees the tempo issue in the same way you have, I think he probably will use some of that too. I think just Miami would have to be too perfect, like game management wise, to win this game, and that's just not something they've been all year, right? Like Carson Beck throwing interceptions, they fumble a lot, their kicker can't make a field goal. Like I envision this being like a 27-14 type of game for Ohio State, maybe with like a pick six, something like that, like a defensive touchdown.
Okay. I was thinking a 17-6 game for Ohio State, which still would not be that convincing to me, because I'll say this. Last year, I was very confident that Ohio State was going to win the national championship before the Tennessee game.
Really?
In fact, I actually bet money for Ohio State to win the national championship. After I was at the Tennessee game, I then bet $15 more that they were going to win it. That's how confident I was.
Thought
And
you
that's
didn't bet on
very,
Ohio State.
I don't. It was the third time I had ever done it.
Oh, but you're just so sure.
I
You're just
was,
that confident.
I was shocked to see that what they look like against Tennessee. I was like, I don't know who's going to stop this if they continue to go like this. And I didn't make them making a lot of money, but I'm not as confident as I was. And I don't know, it's because of the experience of Julian Sain, because Will Howard, I mean, Will Howard could have done it himself in a game like against Indiana. He did against Texas. I mean, he had a 4th and 4. He ends up doing it with his legs. He is able to move out of the pocket and still pass the ball. I mean, there's some accuracy issues more in the beginning of the season with underthrown passes.
Yeah. He's really accurate.
But you could tell, exactly. You could tell that he was a veteran, and he didn't get that happy feet that Julian Sain does as a redshirt freshman. I just trusted Will a lot more, and obviously Emeka and Travion and Quinshawn. Here with Julian Sain and Jeremiah Smith leading it. Jeremiah Smith had 5 touchdowns in the playoffs last year. Ohio State, to me, is going to need that same performance if they're going to win the national championship this year. They're going to need someone to go off, because they can't spread out the performances like they did on the offensive side, like they did last year. It's just not going to be possible, especially with the running game. And will Howard be able to move the ball with his legs? So that's what I think they win this game 17-6. But I'm gonna have to see more to get more confidence. But of course, I'm gonna continue picking them to win it all. But yeah, I mean, Carson Beck, to me, I very strong start of the season. He had some hiccups with Louisville and SMU. It's more of like he's gonna have at least one screw up per game. So hopefully Ohio State can take advantage of that. But that Miami offense against that Texas A&M defense, I'm telling you, like, that 10-3 matchup wasn't, wow, look at these defenses. It was, oh, these offenses are ugly.
Right, and they left so many points on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams, really.
Yeah. So that's what kind of probably helps Ohio State's confidence, at least the fans. Players probably don't care how that game went, but Caleb Downs is going to be obviously the key, and he was last year, especially against Texas, to win this game. I mean, the players on the field, if you want to go players on the field, who wins the game, it's Ohio State, and I think that they win by, 11 makes sense. But I mean, that's we'll see there. The only game that day on New Year's Eve at 7:30. Of course, the third time they're going to be in Dallas, which I guess is fine with me. At this point, it doesn't really matter where you're going. So if they win, the winner of this game will go to play Fiesta Bowl between Ole Miss and Georgia. And if you don't have anything else on the matchup, we can go into the
Let's
rest
get
of the
into
game. So before you had 24-14.
27-7. Yeah, 27-14.
Okay. So both of us having Ohio State cover the spread in this one, as it's still 9.5. But we can go into the next. So we have Ohio State winning this. We had last week, we kind of did our bracket, and it was right now we are perfect. We picked Alabama. The Alabama and Oklahoma game was definitely more difficult than anything, and we thought, like,
not for us, clearly.
We really screwed up on our pick, but then Alabama comes back to beat Oklahoma at home. But we can go through it. Let's see so Oregon, Texas Tech. That is the Orange Bowl. That's at noon on January 1st. Oregon 2.5-point favorites.
Well, can I ask before, which matchup are you most excited for of the New Year's Day games?
This one. The one I just said. Yep. The 5-4 matchup in Miami. Yeah. What about you?
I think the Rose Bowl, Alabama, Indiana. Maybe I think the venue. I'm biased to the venue.
I think
my experience there. You can see it up right above
I think, actually, we'll just talk about Oregon Texas Tech first, since that's the first game
Yeah, let's do it.
of the day. Dante Moore uh, and Dan Lanning trying to get Oregon over the hump. They got stumped last year by Ohio State, and they're trying to get through that first round. Fine, and they have this opportunity as favorites on. They're not favorites. They're not favored on ESPN, but they are in Vegas. So, what do you got for us? What do you think?
My early thought is Oregon. I think I'm a big believer in like the kind of psychological part of sports. Like I think
Me too.
Oregon losing in this same round last year plays into it. Right? Like they still have a chip on their shoulder. I don't think they view the JMU game as their first playoff game, really. You know what I mean? And I know Dan Lanning doesn't feel that way either. I just think I think Texas Tech is obviously really good defensively. Obviously, they've not seen the kind of like athletes that Oregon has. Now, I don't know about the health of some of their key guys on offense, um, but regardless, like I don't know I just don't think they've seen the type of speed. Not that I'm thinking Oregon is going to put up like 40 points. I don't think that's going to happen. But I just like that matchup probably a little bit more than most people do. Like most people think, yeah, Texas Tech, their defense is great, right? Oregon, explosive offense, but they kind of lean Texas Tech there. I don't really feel that way. And I'm also kind of just leaning towards like the being tested part of like one being the Big Ten, two they were in this game last year. Like Texas Tech is kind of what were they like 7-5 last year? Like they're kind of just new into the playoff. And I also think Oregon's defense is a little bit underrated. I know they just gave up a whole bunch of yards to JMU, so maybe that's a dumb thing to say, but
Yeah, that was the one thing I think I texted you. I was like, this really pisses me off that Oregon's giving up this many points.
yeah, I mean, they had third stringers in, but
yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely something to look at. Texas Tech to me gets the edge on the defensive side. I think Cameron Dickey, the running back for Texas Tech, is going to be the make or break for them, and I think Oregon's going to be able to stop him at least enough. And to me, I'm going to have Oregon winning this, beating Texas Tech. I think the psychological part, and I feel the same way. I felt last year. I wanted to play Notre Dame over Penn State in the national championship because it's hard to beat a team twice in a row. In fact, I actually wanted Georgia to make it to the playoff to play them instead.
yeah,
it worked out. But yes, the whole psychological thing I think is true. Especially there's still a good amount of players on Georgia that were had to face that loss against Ohio State, especially obviously Dan Lanning. And I will always go back to this. I trust that guy. I think he's a great coach.
he is. Yeah.
And the way he has started the program and where he's put it now is tremendous growth. And to me, if you said Dan Lanning, 2 years ago, Dan Lanning was going to go back-to-back first-round exits, I'd be like, wow. I mean, who did they play? Was Ohio State and Georgia? But I mean, so that's why I'm gonna. Also, another reason why I'm gonna pick Oregon winning this game. I think they'll get out coached, and I'm not as high on Texas Tech's offense, and I think the Oregon defense is just enough to win this game to advance to the Peach Bowl.
That's a good point. I definitely agree with you there. That I didn't even mention it, but Dan Lanning I think definitely has the coaching edge over Joey McGuire.
Yep.
And I think he's gonna have his guys juiced up for this game. Like that, I'm 100% confident in saying that. And yeah, Texas Tech's offense also has really struggled in the red zone. They've struggled to finish drives, settled for a lot of field goals, especially both games against BYU. So I think I'm going to take Oregon here as well, and I'm pretty confident in that too. I'm thinking maybe even like a 10-point game.
Yeah, I'm going to have Oregon covering the spread as well. I mean, it's only 2.5, so that's a field goal, I guess, to win by 1 or 2. But yeah, I think Oregon. I mean, to me, it's a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like about 2 minutes remaining and they're up by 7. So I'll probably take that. I'll take a touchdown, and Texas Tech has the ball, trying to tie the game up. But now we can move on to, the matchup that you're excited for: Alabama, Indiana, 9-1 at the Rose Bowl. Right now, as it is going to be raining during that game, we You guys won it 2 years ago. Ohio State played on last year, and now
Mm-hmm.
Indiana playing in it this year. So I think that, to me, Indiana. I saw obviously Indiana, what they did to limit Bo Jackson was they did a good job, and Alabama has no running game. And we obviously experience Ohio State and Michigan, where it's the game is always determined on the run. Whoever rushes for the most wins the game. And I think Indiana, if it's raining, they're gonna have the edge in the trenches, and that's what's gonna win them this game.
Yeah, I am worried about Stephen Daly, the defensive lineman, who's going to be out for Indiana because he's a force up front. But I agree with you. I think, I mean, Alabama would not have won that game if it wasn't for Oklahoma just throwing the game away. I mean, that was the worst pick six I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And absolutely check that punter for, he definitely has a FanDuel account. That was insane. Just
possible
on the ground. Check his phone.
And John Mateer, he had. I don't know if you saw the Venmos from like a year ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, check them all. Check all their phones. But yeah, I think Indiana's just straight up the better team, and I think this one is one where like you look at talent, yes, but like I think sometimes the best way to look at a game is think about it like most simply. Like Indiana's been way more consistent all year. Alabama has been the opposite of that, especially like you said with the run game. And Indiana's pass defense is really good. So I would definitely I'm leaning Indiana here. Part of me this weird voice in the back of my head wants to go back to like the talent and but I think that just the way that Kurtzinetti has his team playing and the fact that Indiana has playoff experience from last year, like that's a big thing in my eyes. Like I will never pick like a first time playoff team to make a deep run. Just because like we talked about that psychological factor. Yeah. All those things kind of lead me to pick Indiana here, but I don't think it's going to be like a blowout by any means.
Yeah, and I think that when I'm looking at the stats of the three running backs for Indiana, 900 yards, 1 yard before 1,000, and then the third string running back has 450. So they can run the ball, and they have more than one guy who can do it, and that's a huge plus. Obviously, we saw it last year with Ohio State. It helps big time. I mean, running backs get run into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not like a Derrick Henry or Zeke, where you're like obviously the best guy out there on the field, then you're gonna need two backs, and they have, and Indiana. I mean, Alabama struggles with that. I mean, their leading rusher has 500, Jay Miller, so that's tough. That's a tough look. And we obviously saw that against Georgia, and they negative yards, rushing yards in the second half. But yeah, I'll take Indiana. This here, I would be more confident in Texas Tech tying the game going downfield than I would be Alabama. I think that Indiana defenses will be locked in on that final drive. Then
I think there's just a few. I mean, I think there's just a few ways that Alabama probably, like Ryan Grubb probably draws up some type of misdirection and gets them some points, especially early. Like they've been a team that gets out to super hot starts and then lulls in the middle of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if they go up like 10-0 and then the game finishes like 26-13, like something like
possibly. That. Yeah.
But yeah, if I were to pick it, I would go like 26-20 Indiana. I don't even know the line, but I think that's a cover.
It's 7. Yeah. You said 26 what?
20.
26-20. I'm going to do man, I want I also feel like this game is going to be close, but I actually think that Indiana will kick a field goal to seal it, to make it 2 possessions later in the game. So we can move on to Ole Miss, Georgia. This to me is possible for an upset.
Oh yeah. I don't think enough people talk about this game.
They're not talking about this. The way I know Ole Miss, there were a couple times where I'm like, okay, Tulane is like a weird bounce for off of the punt returner's leg and scoring to being in the game, and that is why it's like George. Okay, maybe George is gonna be fine.
Yeah, Tulane actually played well. They were moving the ball decently well. They just couldn't score.
exactly. They couldn't punch it in, and it was like right when they got to like their Ole Miss is like 38. They just like then it shut down. That was the problem for Tulane. But this Ole Miss team could do something really funny
Hilarious. Yeah.
without Lane Kiffin. The Georgia fans for sure are condescending and they don't care. Ole Miss is a little bro to them. They've never worried about them ever. And this is very possible. It's 6.5, and I honestly, that to me is it makes sense. And honestly, I'll take Ole Miss to cover at least in this because
you know what this game reminds me of? If you remember in 2023, that Washington team that wins the national title with Michael Penix and those great receivers, they beat Oregon in Seattle by 1, I think. Might have been even in overtime. And then going into the Pac-12 championship, everyone was like the way that, I remember Washington kind of struggled against Oregon State, and Oregon was just steamrolling everybody. Like Bo Nix and that, I think Bucky Irving was on the team too. They were just steamrolling everybody. And everyone was like, yeah, but Oregon by whatever they want. Like that was a fluke game. This gives me very similar vibes where like people are just kind of writing off Ole Miss. One, I think Ole Miss, I don't think they're going to be afraid of the moment. And two, I just don't think I still something I just don't trust about Georgia to really like put a team away.
There's something I still go back to that Georgia Tech game. I mean, come on, you scored 16 set to 7. I'm like, really? Or was it? No, it was closer than that.
It was 16-9.
Yeah, because there was a Hail Mary for Georgia Tech to try to at least try to tie the game. I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Oh, the full outright.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Ole Miss to upset Georgia in what was one of probably the biggest upset in SEC playoff history. It's probably, obviously this expanded playoff, makes that possible.
This is the night game, right?
This is the 8:00 game. Yeah, we win in order.
Yeah.
So I'll take Ole Miss. Why not?
Why not?
It also would be not if Ohio State wins. Obviously, that's an easier matchup as well. So I would want to see it. But I will be cheering on Ole Miss the entire time because I mean, to me, their fan base, I don't have a problem with them yet. But what Lane Kiffin did, and then kind of threw them through the program, the AD under the bus about, I wanted to coach these guys, but they didn't see that the same thing. You're not allowed to coach Ole Miss when you're leaving the school and have access to them and try to convince them to go to LSU. Yeah. So good call by Ole Miss there, and I just think it would be a nice little Cinderella story. This is the Cinderella to me. It wasn't JMU and Tulane.
Well, yeah, that was not going to happen.
The Cinderellas that people were talking about. What they really wanted was an Ole Miss beating Georgia.
Dude, I could totally see this being like because it's the last game of the day too. Like people finish watching the Rose Bowl, like, all right, that was a decent game, and they turn it off, right? And they're like, it's Ole Miss. Turn the game off, go out to get some dinner or something, and then like all of a sudden,
they're up by 3,
4 in the fourth quarter, something crazy like that. I will take Georgia though.
Okay.
I think just the way that Ole Miss was in the game in Athens, like they scored, I think, touchdowns on their first 6 drives in a row. I don't envision that happening. Even if Lane Kiffin was there, I don't envision that happening. I also, Trinidad Chambliss has looked way more inaccurate as of late than he did in that kind of middle part of the season. I think Georgia, finds a way. But I do like your thought process here. I definitely think this is like something about this Ole Miss team, the way they were just kind of like after that whole Lane Kiffin drama, like the way they just kind of rallied behind.
They was like, okay, we're just gonna play football again. We are playing football for Ole Miss. We're not playing football for Lane Kiffin. Yeah. That's what it felt like, and I was glad to see them. I'm glad to see them go out there and beat Tulane. Obviously, it'd been cool to see Tulane, but for them to go out there and now give them the opportunity to, they lost to Georgia earlier in the year, like you said, 43-35. And obviously, playing a team twice is hard. Georgia would be the team to do it, to be a team twice. But it would be cool to see. It would be cool to see Ole Miss advance the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, they're an easy team. I like Ole Miss. Like even last year with Jackson Dart, I found myself kind of supporting them a little bit. The one thing, like you said, though, I can't root for Ole Miss because of who the winner of this game would play next potentially. But I would love to. But I'm gonna have to pull for Georgia here. I'm gonna pick Georgia. I'm gonna pick Georgia like 21-17.
That's a good. So that would be covering the spread as the line is 6.5 right now on DraftKings. So you wouldn't be upset if Ole Miss won.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, part of me would be excited.
That is how I feel with Oregon and Texas Tech. Because and I was talking to you earlier about who I want to win the national championship. Obviously, Ohio State. But if that didn't happen, not the SEC or Miami, and Oregon, Ohio State and Oregon fans have been bashing heads ever since they joined the Big Ten, and I've had enough. I mean, the whole Chris Henry Jr. situation, it was nonstop. Oregon, the Brian Hartline's gone. Look, they're starting to lose their recruits. It's like, okay, we'll go check the Rose Bowl score and see who's a consistent contender. But Texas Tech, I would love to see win the national championship. I mean, obviously they're money built. They have $1 billion donor. And I was reading an article on him today. I forgot his name, but it might be Campbell. It's Oregon and Texas Tech team they're all about money, but it would be cool to see. To me, Texas Tech and Indiana are very similar in fact that they have just come up out of the blue and are in the college football playoff and have a bye. So if you like that type of stuff, then Texas Tech is someone to root for as well. And I don't really want to see an SEC team win, and it'd be cool to see the Big Ten go back to back to back.
Oh yeah, I would pull for Indiana out of the remaining field. I guess I would pull for Indiana and then Ole Miss. But like you said, I saw a tweet. I forget what the account was, but it was like a pretty popular like Oregon Ducks account, and it was like if Texas Tech wins this game, like it just shows everything that's wrong with college football, like buying your roster. And I'm like, hello?
Bro, you have the. If you go look at
how do you think you got here?
If you go look at On3 247 recruiting, their average NIL is the highest by thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they think they're like a blue blood program. Like where have you been at?
And how many national championships do they have?
Donut.
Exactly. They don't have any.
You are in the same boat, bro. Just because you were 1 year earlier does not make it any different. So that's it.
And that's how they feel.
And also, I'm not pulling for Oregon, especially now because they're trying to poach Bryce Underwood.
Are they?
They are.
I mean, I don't know.
Tampering with him. I can say that for a fact. That's the only school that I know of for sure that is trying to.
I am confident that Bryce Underwood would rather be at Michigan. I feel like
I have it on. I'm like 60% confident that he comes back. I think we can actually I talked about this on TikTok my last video, so I don't need. But like, no one was going to Michigan to play for Sharon Moore. Like it wasn't what it is.
I think that Oregon fans also forget where he's from. Yeah, he's from Detroit, right? Is it Detroit?
He's from Detroit. Yes.
Yeah.
And he went to high school like 25 minutes from Ann Arbor.
Obviously, money was involved, him decommitting to LSU, but it was to his hometown team.
Yeah.
So it's just
Michigan's not just gonna Michigan would be willing to match whatever Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, there's so and with Sam Levitt. I mean, we can obviously go down the list another off season, go down the list of transfers and when that window opens, but it's not a short list of quarterbacks in a way. I mean, there are QBs that are out there for teams. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I don't want to get to that point, but yeah, we'll see.
Right. Yeah. So we have Texas. Both of us had Texas Tech, have Indiana, and then we split.
I have Oregon. Say Oregon too, right?
Yeah, we have Oregon. Did I say Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both have Oregon.
I gotta make sure my perfect bracket is well documented on the show.
Yeah, and then Indiana, and then it would be great to see Ole Miss for this. People want Cinderellas, but you don't watch the games because only 4 million people watch a JMU game. So I don't even want to hear it's a bunch of crock if you say, "Oh, I like Cinderellas," and don't
This
even
is a
watch the game.
realistic Cinderella.
It is, especially in college football. This is a realistic Cinderella.
Yes.
And you'll have to help me with this one. If we compared what Ole Miss is to NCAA March Madness, who would it be? Would it be like Texas Tech made the Final Four a couple years ago, right? In Auburn.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they were one of them. One of these teams was in like a 9 or 8 seed.
Yeah,
who's
it'd
a
be
school?
Like a 9 or 8 seed.
Okay.
It'd be like
yeah,
it'd be like
when Dustin
like
May
FAU.
was there.
Like FAU.
I feel like FAU is a little too small to compare.
But they were
against.
a 9 seed.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the more realistic Cinderella for college football because it's just so top heavy with the sport, and it was before NIL. It was way back when Bo and Woody Hayes were going at each other, and it's going to continue like this with NIL.
It's it's more top heavy, like in terms of power conferences. I mean, I think it's more spread out like across the conferences. Like because players from top schools can play at other school, like another Big Ten school, right? But definitely all of the talent from the Group of Five just funnels right up to the power conferences, and so that disparity is only going to grow.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting. Obviously, these games come up this week, and then we continue with the semifinal and obviously the bowl games for Michigan and Texas. But I mean, continue with bowl games. I mean, it's been a good season. It's been a great bowl season. I mean, I've watched at least one play for each game. I tried to, but there's been some random good bowls. The Big Ten undefeated so far. So hopefully we can Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon and Indiana can make that happen. That'd be pretty sick. So that, and of course, seeing the SEC suffer another year in bowl games would be great.
It's hilarious.
So I know Iowa.
I'm not like even a big like SEC sucks person, but it is funny. Like I'm having a good laugh.
Neither am I until like when they start bringing it up. That's when it pisses me off. And I'm looking at the schedule right now. Iowa plays Vanderbilt, so that's another matchup on the 31st. So 3 Big Ten teams playing, 2 Big Ten SEC matchups. So hopefully we can get Big Ten can get that done. But yeah, I mean this is good. We'll hopefully we'll have smiles on our faces next week when we do this.
I'll have one regardless. Well,
you think?
Portal opens on Friday, so maybe not.
That is true. You'll know. Yeah.
But we'll know. Well, I know for sure next week we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we will. No matter what happens between Michigan and Texas and Ohio State and Miami, both teams trying to end the season strong. And I'm trying to get both. Obviously, Ohio State has double-digit wins, and then Michigan trying to get that this week. It would be. I guess that would be it would be nice to say that probably to win 10 games.
Yeah.
It looks good when you look at the history of your squad and you see 10, 11, 10, 12. Like it's good to see that. But yeah, no, this is good. But I'm excited for it for sure. But yeah, obviously we're using a new format here. You can go look at us, follow us TikTok and X, Step Bros Podcast 1 and Step Bros _pod. Just let us know. Twitter, YouTube, your thoughts, what your bracket is, what it looks like so far, and who you're rooting for the rest of the way.